Bonsoir Nazi Yambo, good evening to you as well. Televiewers, thanks for joining us in this edition of the 8 p.m. bilingual newscast on Equinoxe television. We'll be telling you how the population of Bafang in the western region of the country have taken to the streets today demanding the liberation of their mayor, Pierre Quemo. He was arrested and conveyed to the State Defense Secretariat in Yaoundé, where he answered to questions. On confirmed reports, he was arrested over land expropriation. And in this edition of the newscast, we'll equally be telling you how athletes in Cameroon have blamed the inadequate government assistance as root cause of their poor performances in the international competitions. They say if government grants them adequate support, they will make the national colors make news worldwide. Details and more in this newscast.
Et la suite de ce journal, c'est en langue anglaise avec Voinon Senazi.
Exactly, Nadine Yambo. Once more, good evening to you, televiewers. Thanks for staying with us. So we begin with our lead story to tell you how the mayor of Bafang in the west region of the country has been freed after answering to questions at the State Defense Secretariat in Yaoundé today, and it remains unclear why he was arrested, but unconfirmed sources say the mayor's arrest is linked to land expropriation. Meantime, reports from other population or some other persons say supporters of the mayor stormed the streets today demanding his liberation. We shall be keeping you updated. Now talk about this incident which took place in Kribi. Two young men who are in their 20s and are currently under investigation at the Kribi Central Police Station for trafficking human parts. They were apprehended today with bags containing skeletons and other body parts. The suspect sources say recently arrived Kribi claiming they were drug vendors. And on to something else, depression and frustration is the current state of two helpless women in Bafoussam, in the west region, after their 9 children were forcefully taken to France by a man they have known as husband for years now, and the man who has been threatening to publish intimate photos of them on social media has detained them at the Bafoussam Central Prison. Details with me, Armstrong Sanda.
It is a story of Emile alias Makafosi, 37 years old, and Michel Olive, 32 years old, both in love with a certain Jean-Marie Taga for over 20 years now. Emile alias Makafosi met Jean-Marie Taga in 2005 at the age of 19, and Michel Olive met him in 2007 when she was just 23 years old. Jean-Marie Taga, in his 60s, lived in France and was married, but the girls did not know about his marital status following their explanations. She said her first pregnancy with Jean-Marie Taga produced twins, a boy and a girl. She later had a girl, then twins and a boy. After several years of cohabitation, Mr. Jean-Marie Taga, who claimed that the women were aware of his marital status, proceeded to acquire necessary documents and took away the 9 children over to France.
L'amour envers mes enfants. Mais quand il a commencé le 3 octobre, il m'a enfermé dans la chambre le 3 octobre pendant 3 jours.
Things then went sour between Mr. Jean-Marie Taga and the women, who accused him of forcefully taking their children away from them.
Il faut que tu sois toujours d'accord avec lui. Une fois que tu n'es pas d'accord, c'est la violence.
Je souhaitais que mes enfants vivent dans un foyer. Je suis encore en vie.
According to a decision from the court in charge of children's matter in Versailles, France, the 9 children are currently held in a social center following persistent domestic violence that they incurred from the true Madame Taga in France.
Moi-même, Dr Taga Fosso Jean-Marie, le 26 juin 2017. Et les femmes nous ont accompagnés à l'aéroport.
Mr. Taga says his wife, who is a French national, became angry and upset when he arrived with 9 children in France.
Qui est française, n'était pas très contente. Elle m'a dit que je n'ai pas le droit de lui imposer les enfants qui sont nés en Afrique.
She could not accept to live with children born in Africa.
Donc elle a fait une en septembre 2000.
In Cameroon, the case is in court and Mr. Taga is accused of abuse. Mr. Taga is also accused of blackmailing the women by threatening to publish intimate videos of them on social media, but he has denied the accusations.
Et on a menacé personne de faire des publications ou que ce soit.
Few days after this report, the women who lived in Douala, Cameroon's economic capital, were arrested and detained at the central prison in Bafoussam, west region of Cameroon, following a complaint from Mr. Taga, which accused them of stealing from his residence. Mr. Taga, who is also a pharmacist and businessman, is demanding the sum of 2 million francs CFA from Alliance, which he paid as bride price.
An economist have condemned the accumulation of posts of responsibilities by some top government officials. They say it is anti-productive and they were reacting to President Paul Biya's decision to appoint or maintain Ibrahim Talba Mala as General Manager of Sonara after recently appointing him as Minister of Public Contracts. Babla Jonathan reports.
After his appointment as Minister Delegate at the Presidency in charge of public contracts by President Paul Biya, another presidential decision instructs Ibrahim Talba Mala to ensure the smooth functioning of the National Oil Refinery, Sonara. Though the release of Ferdinand Gongo, Secretary General at the Presidency of the Republic, tells him to exceptionally maintain his post of General Manager of Sonara until his successor is appointed, the fact that he is henceforth at the helm of two institutions is qualified as an example of the many cases of negative cumulation of posts of responsibility in Cameroon.
It's not something new. It is not also something just pop-up for the country. We used to see those cases in other countries, just that we have to be a little bit proactive and to nominate somebody. At the same time they appointed a minister, they should normally appoint also the one supplying him at the same time. If our target is to have institutions and administrations functioning very well, we have to be a little bit proactive and to nominate people at the same time, the one going out and the one coming in.
Le cumul en général.
Such cumulation of posts generally exists because the head of state does not take timely decisions. When he appointed Talba Mala as public contracts minister, he ought to have replaced him immediately, but we are used to being slow. According to economists, the adverse consequences of such accumulation of posts of responsibility are far-reaching. Talba Mala will do his best, but it will certainly have a negative impact on Sonara and the ministry.
We have had cases where after double appointment, people were waiting somewhere for, let's say, a minister or DJ 2-3 months without seeing him, and that has a negative impact on the function, on the efficiency and the finances, even the rentability of those enterprises. A decision cannot be taken at the right moment, and that has normally a negative effect on the output of the enterprise or of the ministry.
However, economist Emmanuel Cognier says,
Ce n'est pas parce qu'on critique les cumuls que tous les cumuls sont mauvais.
Some cases of cumulation of posts could be positive. For instance, if a mayor is either elected or appointed member of parliament or senator, he or she will be in a better position to press for solutions to problems plaguing his or her municipality.
Members of a non-governmental organization are still astonished as to why humanitarian aid comprising foodstuff, mattresses, soap, and many others were barred from reaching inmates by prison officials of the Yaoundé Central Prison. The acts of kicking out the items from the prison yards, the members of the non-governmental organization say is unheard of. Details with Manjukan Gabriel.
Mattresses, vegetable oil, and other foodstuffs were the items destined for the inmates of the Yaoundé Central Prison, coming from the Aya Foundation, a non-governmental organization.
So we're visiting the prisons as we do every beginning of year. We brought a lot of stuff. We were authorized to come into the prisons in Yaoundé. We were not given any reason. We believe, we of the Aya Foundation, is just the summit of human cruelty to fellow human. There is no reason why you would deprive people in detention from benefiting from foodstuff from people who want to help them. Foodstuff and basic necessities is just human wickedness. That's the only thing. There's no reason beyond that.
The items that were already inside the prison premises were transported outside after the prison administrator gave orders for them to be taken out.
The things we brought are already inside when suddenly the prison administration rejected everything and threw everything out and threw us out. Up till now, we're not told why the things were thrown out. It is a shame to the Republic. It's a big shame.
After the rejection of the items, a plan B has already been envisaged by the Aya Foundation.
There are a lot of people throughout the national territory, Yaoundé, Douala, everywhere, that are in need of this assistance. So in the coming days, we just distribute to them according to priorities. It's as easy as that. It's not even enough to take care of people who need these things. What we took to the prisons is not enough.
All of our attempts at getting into contact with the Kondengi prison administrator were abortive. We couldn't authoritatively confirm if he was the one who refused the gift from the Aya Foundation, and also that he received instructions from the hierarchy for him to do so. This is happening at a time when over 200 Anglophone detainees were just freed by a presidential order.
Cameroon's defense ministry is striving to clear its public image by refraining from unlawful killings and equally violation of some human rights during implementation of law and order. And it has done so by publishing a manual directing military officials on how to tactfully execute their duties without necessarily carrying out unlawful killings and equally violating some human rights. Details in this report. Some elements of the National Defense and Security Forces are at times accused of violating some human rights principles in the course of carrying out their duties. Many have often viewed and described this as scandalous acts of the military, thus advancing the need for proper maintenance of public order without trampling on some human rights principles. Some top security personnel say it will be proper for Cameroon to show good example by respecting and promoting human rights in its strive to protect citizens, even in conflicts. This is what motivated the Ministry of Defense to publish this booklet titled in French, Guide de l'instructeur. The book has been presented and handed over to the director of the International School for Security Forces. Brigadier General André Patrice Bitote noted that the informations contained in this guide focus on the human rights and humanitarian principles which must be respected during law and order implementation. It is destined to instructors, formators, and military personnel. Designed by several intellectuals, the manual composes 5 chapters and 8 appendices. These chapters enhance comprehension on respect of human rights during military operations, no matter challenges faced by the defense and security forces in the field. They are also instructed in the booklet to as well respect rights of persons deprived liberty, such as the incarcerated. Defense and security elements are also compelled to make a clear difference between enforcement of law, judiciary action, and gun battle when exercising their task. Nonetheless, these guides, according to the authors, lays emphasis on how the military forces should use arms tactfully, not to claim a human life, but capture and detain or infringe corporates. The military authors hope the manual will be carefully exploited by those concerned to avoid scandal on the face of the military for unlawful killings and human rights violations. And in sports, athletes in Cameroon have blamed the inadequate government support for their poor performances in international competitions. They believe that maximum government support will encourage them to perform better in upcoming international competitions. Manjukan Gabriel tells us more.
Actors in the sports domain say they want more government support in their activities in order for them to ameliorate their performances. According to Sandrine Boumi, silver medalist at the Francophonie Games that took place in Abidjan 2017, they have several difficulties and she is beckoning on the government to intervene. Another silver medalist at the Abidjan Francophonie Games, Marie-Gisèle Elame-Esse, says individual and team sports can never be compared. The more reason why, if they have to perform well, much attention should be given to them, particularly in the way they prepare for the competitions. The cry of these athletes was supported by the Secretary General of the Conference of Ministers for Youth and Sports of La Francophonie, Bouramal Ali Haruna, who told the government about the necessities of making sure that their athletes are in a good frame of mind before participating at any competition. In his response, Sports and Physical Education Minister Narcisse Mwele Kombi, on behalf of the government, says no athlete is minimized in the country.
L'État, comme toujours, ne ménagera aucun effort pour vous accompagner dans vos efforts.
The gathering ended with the athletes who represented Cameroon honorably at the Abidjan 2017 La Francophonie Games rewarded by Confederations for their performances. Elame Esse Marie-Gisèle in 100 meters women, Mbumi Sandrine in long jump and triple jump, Ngende Daniel in free fights, Njomisi Fernand in high jump, and Tambi Roland in African wrestling all backed home the sum of 350,000 francs each for their performances.
And that's how you saw it in this edition of the 8 p.m. bilingual newscast on Equinoxe television. Thanks so much for watching. We do wish you a splendid evening.
Bonne soirée à vous également, Innocent Nazé. Mesdames et messieurs, c'est la fin de ce journal. Merci pour votre aimable attention.